everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Safe Space podcast, where we have honest conversation that challenges us, empowers us, and educates us to make safer choices. My name is Ibukoluwa Adio, and I have here with me today an important guest.
Patricia Njoku.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Over the past few weeks, we've been talking about something very important to us, and we've been talking a lot about it, trying to educate everyone and shed more light on this particular topic on human trafficking. But then again, under human trafficking, we have different stereotypes. We have different ideas that people have already. Like when they hear the word human trafficking, this is what comes to their mind. So today we want to break that stereotype and talk about who exactly are the people that are trafficked, who gets trafficked, right? So I'm hoping that we are able to converse on that and then shed more light on it so that everyone can learn. Thank you very much. So my first question is, under human trafficking, there are different terms. What is the difference between a vulnerable person, a victim, and a survivor of human trafficking?
Thank you so much for having me. Let me start with that. And then this is a very important conversation, that we really need to, in fact, engage most times because this is just something that we have been reoccurring over the years, right? So if we don't have these conversations, we may be missing out something, right? So yeah, to start with your question about who the vulnerable ones are, the victims and the survivors, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So, for the vulnerable ones, right, these are persons that maybe let me say can be trafficked or are exposed or somehow I don't want to still use the word vulnerable. Someone that is at risk, of being trafficked. Let me just say, yeah, you are in a position or in a situation or in a community or area, that makes you be at risk of being trafficked. Those are the people we call vulnerable people. And they can be anybody actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now talking about victim are those who are trafficked. They are already in that situation of being trafficked, right? They are currently being trafficked. So when you talk, like for instance, when you talk about maybe someone that has been trafficked to another country, or you've been promised that they'll be taking you to XYZ country, and then at the end of the day, you find out that they deceived you, they lured you into something that you didn't really want to embark on, and then you are stuck. You don't know what to do. Sometimes you don't even know the next step or what to do at that point. In that condition, you're just find out that you have been deceived, and you're just facing the effects of whatever you have been exposed to at the time. So those are trafficked victims. They are still under the custody of their traffickers, or in the country or in the destination where they are being trafficked to. So it's more like they are still under slavery. So the modern time, we call it modern day slavery, where in the olden days we used to hear about slavery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those still exist, and it's coming in the form of human trafficking now, where those human traffickers exploit their victims, and expose them to so many vices or issues that are against their wish ordinarily as human, right? So these are victims. So for a young girl that has been trafficked to a country or to a place or to a destination and is used as a sex slave, right, is a victim of trafficking at the time, right? So those are, in general terms, people that are currently under the custody of their trafficker, or that are currently facing whatever challenge or issues around being trafficked, are victims of trafficking. Then when you now talk about survivors of human trafficking, these are individuals that have been trafficked, and that maybe they have possibly been freed. Let me use the word set free, or they find a way to escape, or they eventually got help, and they are no longer victims, right? So I spoke about vulnerable people, and then to victim, and then to survivors. So survivors are people that, because at the end of the day, some persons die during this act or this process based on what they have been exposed to. So those that survived it, those that made it, those that didn't end up somewhere else or maybe dead or something, they are the survivors, right? As we speak, some human traffickers are currently in prison, they are detained, they are facing some legal terms or the other, which was against their will. And some of them have returned back to their country. I'm not talking about those that were trafficked to other countries now. So the common Libya that we often hear about, young Nigerians that have said, okay, I am traveling, I want to go to Europe, or I want to go to XYZ country or something. And then someone comes to offer them maybe some opportunities, or sometimes they may not even be the one that proposed such plans. Someone just come to offer them opportunities to take them abroad, to take them to some countries and the likes. And they didn't know the reality. They didn't really know that this person was actually deceiving them or was going to scam them or exploit them and the likes, right? So, but at the end of the day, if this person embarks on such journey and comes back and is now free, is no longer under that exploitation roof, right? Such person is now a survivor. They are not living their normal life, though they can still be traumatized, they can still be facing some kind of possible consequences from that trafficking, right? Possibly they took some loan, or they are in debt, or they sold their properties, or they closed their businesses because they saw an offer to travel abroad or to travel to another location for something juicy or something so beautiful. So when they now return, though you may not have recovered, or they may not have recovered everything that they lost, and even for their lifetime, sometimes they may not still recover. But the fact that they came back alive, that they are at least able to reunite with their families, maybe with their loved ones, they are survivors.
Yeah.
We no longer call these ones victims, right? We now call them survivors. And whatever be the process or the issues they may have at the time, we hopefully be fine at the end of the day. But the most important thing is life.
Yeah,
That's why they are survivors, basically.
Oh, thank you very much for that elaborate explanation. I think that was very enlightening. So if you're watching this episode, you can just take this as the first step into the previous conversations that we have already had, to give you more understanding on the different types, because a lot of people might mistake these three words to mean the same thing.
Exactly.
And there's a very clear difference. So now, like, most times when people hear the word trafficking, somebody has been trafficked, they just believe it's maybe one girl at the age of 7 years old or 8 years old, that maybe she was in a village, or she's in a very rural background, and then she was promised maybe to go abroad. And most of the time, if you watch these stories, they're always using a girl that is learning hairdressing. So it's mostly the girls that are learning hairdressing, and they're small, and then they just get them, they deceive deceive their parents, and then they take them out of the country, or they traffic them, right? So this is like the, how I call it, the image surrounding human trafficking. So I want to ask you now, that what are like the specific age, the background, the type of people that are trafficked?
Okay, so thank you so much for this question yet again. Talking about those that are trafficked.
Yes, the people who are actually trafficked. We want to like give an exposure that this is actually the people who are actually trafficked.
Well, this is not even about age at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Children are trafficked.
Yes, adults are trafficked
too, right? And just to also add to this, human trafficking is not always across the border or to another country.
Mm-hmm.
People are trafficked within the same country. People are also trafficked even within the same state. And this is even common with children, let me say that. Because human trafficking is also connected with child labor most times. You see people take children as maid, unquote. Please give me your please, I want your child to come stay with me in the city. Maybe you go to your village or somewhere. I'm talking about internally now in a country, right? And then a parent or someone gives you their child, okay, and then you take this child to wherever you are, and you are exploiting this child. You make this child to start hawking in the streets. You make this child not to even go to school, or even when you eventually put them in school, enroll them in school, you don't allow them to focus on their studies and pay attention or enjoy their childhood as children, right? You expose them to hard labors. You see a child that you actually know cannot lift certain objects. You are making this child do that, right? And then you're even making a child babysit another child, in the name of this is my maid or something like that. So those are also aspects of trafficking that we often overlook. So it is not always when a fee is paid or there's money attached to it, right, that it becomes trafficking. So that is the part of it's common in Nigeria. We see it every day all over social media. You see one woman pour hot water on a child because the child did XYZ, and when you trace it very well, you find out that this child is not her biological child.
Yeah.
This child was brought from another parent.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe such parents out there may not even know what their child has been exposed to. Because each time this mother or this other parent calls to know how their children is doing, they'll always hear like, they are fine, or he's fine, she's fine, oh, she's doing well, and then make such child speak good on phone, right? So these are all of issues around human trafficking, and good 18 NAPTIP is always very intentional about some of these acts, and they go all out there to ensure that this is reduced or even stopped completely. Now, speaking about trafficking outside of this country, even children too can be trafficked. So you remember when we talk about children, we are talking about people in a Nigeria context here, people under age 18, right? So you hear a girl 15 years old, 13 years old, even 10 years old, embarking on such journey, maybe with an adult or even alone, based on information out there, based on peer pressure, based on need to meet up or something else, and then they fall in the hands of traffickers. Do you understand? So we hear stories of, just like we use hairdressing as instance, where you have some dropouts, school dropouts, so to say, and even children that are still in school, they get promises of, oh, I'll take you abroad, you further your education, you do this, you do that, and at the end of the day, they are trafficked. Then you talk about adults that are also looking for greener pastures. They want to make ends meet. They want to be financially okay or independent, or at least, which is okay, which is fine, which is what everybody really wants to, right? And then at the end of the day, in trying to pursue all of this, they land in the hands of traffickers most time, particularly when it has to do with people that are not following, they making proper research, or that think they don't have enough funding for their travel plan or for their migration plan. They want to look for a shorter cut or a shorter way of doing it, and then they try to ask the wrong people instead of going through the appropriate way, which is the website or the official embassy or stuff, right? And then when they do this, they can be misled by maybe an agent, travel agent. So during one of our programs that we did in the past, we've identified some of these persons that share their story about how they were eventually trafficked, right? Because sometimes you see that the trafficker is actually waiting for them there, somewhere, maybe let's say Libya, waiting for them, and they are connecting with the one here in Nigeria, right, on how to go about the whole process. And then when they eventually get to Libya, I'm always using Libya because it's the common one that we all hear about. When they eventually get to Libya, someone is there to receive them,
Yeah.
not knowing that this is a plan,
This is
you
it,
know,
man.
that has been made over the years. So anybody can be trafficked. That is the bottom line. We had a program sometime where a family, they were all trafficked.
Wow.
The mother, the father, and the children. The mother actually pulled the children out from school. Oh, we have a juicy offer. They said we should come over. I can be doing nanny. If, the husband can be doing XYZ. The children can be doing, So it was a family movement, and they were all trafficked. That's the end.
Hope they were not separated.
Well, the point is, okay, so there are different instances, not
Okay.
just one family. For the other family, they lost their ways in Sahara Desert.
Wow.
Yeah, they lost their way there. So even when the woman eventually came back, she could not even trace, where the husband was, because it's possible the man died. Because if they embark on this journey, their phones are collected,
Yes.
their valuables are collected. So it's very difficult to even contact or communicate with anyone. And of course, even if you have some of maybe your devices, we're talking about the desert, it's possible there will be no network or something
yes,
like
exactly.
that. And then they lost a lot of belongings. A lot of them die.
Yeah.
So even the children can die leaving their parents and all of that. So they are most times separated.
Yes.
And then you don't even get to know the whereabouts of the other persons.
I feel like human trafficking is one of the, I don't know, I would like to put it on the same level as insecurity.
Okay.
Because
you're not wrong, actually.
Because it's I don't use the word amazing because it's so terrible that I cannot use the word amazing, but it's so terrible. It's very, very,
Very
terrible.
actually.
Very terrible. And this even leads me to my next question, because now we've cleared the fact that, okay, not only children, not only one girl, girls, boys, adults can be trafficked.
Exactly.
But then again, I think we've even sort of like limited it to just adults that are looking for greener pasture. So I want to ask now, can an adult who is financially stable and who is educated, can that adult be trafficked?
Okay, I'll give you an instance. Still on a project, because under ISEF we do, of course, a lot of programs,
Yes.
around human trafficking and irregular migration. During one of the projects that we did somewhere in Ogun State, we had to speak to young people, right? It was more like a research work. And then during the focus group discussion, one of the participants then mentioned that he has a good job, that he's okay. In fact, his father, I don't want to mention the name of his father, but it's someone that we all know, right? So that his father is very okay, and he is comfortable here, but that he really wants to leave the country.
Yeah.
And not like he's making plans to live in the regular route or in the legal route, despite having all of those things. He was telling us that he has contacted an agent, and based on the stories surrounding that agent, the way he narrated it, something was very fishy.
And he still went ahead with it.
He was thank God he mentioned it. He didn't really know what he was about getting himself into, right? Thank God he shared that plan during the focus group discussion.
Wow.
And we had to put him through and see what you're about to
go into.
Right.
Amazing.
See what you're about to go into. This agent we are even talking about, he has not gone to his office. We're talking over the phone. In fact, we gave him some assignments, some stuff to do. We told him to go to ask the agent for his office address, go visit there. We told him it's not like he should continue. In fact, he should find it out for himself. To confirm what we were actually telling him about. But trust me, he eventually reached out that the address the agent gave him was not in existence.
Wow.
You can imagine. This is real life.
And he's okay. He's financially stable. He doesn't have any problems.
So he felt that he was very busy and he needed someone to just help him run that.
Yes.
You get? He does not have that time to start, the process himself. So he just wanted to give money to an agent to help him do it. Why? I know they of course are genuine agents out there, a lot of them are still scammers, human traffickers, human smugglers, right? Out there. And imagine if this guy in question didn't okay, what when we asked him what he was actually going there to do, of course, he spoke about insecurity as one of the factors, right? That the country was not
Secure
secured for
enough.
him, right? Though he had a job, but he just wants to leave because of the rate of insecurity. And because his father is very influential, he's a target according to him, that he can be picked anytime because they know his dad very well. So he just wanted to leave the country to be safe, but he was doing it in the wrong way, right? So trust me, there are a lot of persons like that may still have that financial, kind of stability or something very good doing here in the country, but they still want to leave for one reason or the other. Like the story I narrated, it could be for healthcare service, could be for education. A lot of Nigerians actually want to travel through the study routes, and then they end up being trafficked, right? So there are a lot of stories surrounding this. It's not always about going to seek for job, though that is most of the stories we hear, right? But most sometimes it could be for other reasons like going to study, going for your health care, maybe going for to visit families and all of that. And at the end of the day, if not done properly,
You could be trafficked.
exactly.
Okay, I don't know if you get to this part or you've gotten to this point. You could also refer back to our previous episode where we spoke about one way you can be trafficked is if you do not like if you are not involved in the process of your traveling, like you're not involved in your migration process. You can be trafficked. You
Exactly.
can be taken
Exactly.
advantage of.
Yes.
Again, it is
It
still
is
on yes, it's still on the level of insecurity because insecurity, even if you're influential, you can still be a victim of insecurity. So
Exactly.
anybody can be trafficked. So which means there is no scope of human trafficking
At
anymore.
all. At all. The rich, the poor,
The rich, the poor, anybody can be
anybody
moved.
can be moved if they don't do their due
Their
diligence
due diligence,
properly.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy we're having this conversation because I even feel there should be like a show,
Mm.
like if because but it's just that they always I get they can even clear out the victim's face. It's fine. It's fine when people actually tell their story because we don't see it on social media. Like we have different shows, and then I've not seen one, or maybe there is, but it's not
They
gaining that
actually have,
traction.
yeah, there are a lot of stories out there about
Human trafficking.
yes, about survivors of human trafficking sharing their stories, right? There are a lot of them out there, and even like you said, blurring their faces. Even us on the ISA, we've had a lot of stories like that where we get permission to possibly share. But the challenge now is that some of these survivors, when they come out to share their story, the society
Yes, now
we
we
are
shame
in,
them.
they shame them. We had experience of a survivor that shared her story sometime with us. That was last year, 2025, and we posted the story on with her consent, of course. In fact, she was the one that said she really wants to use her story to
Educate other
raise
people,
awareness, yes,
yeah.
about human trafficking. But when this story was shared online, not directly on our page on the partners social media, and just getting a lot of views and a lot of comments. A lot you come to the comment section, and you be seeing Nigerians. You see people saying, where you dey find money, and where your
You
big
find
eye,
videos,
where
can
you
you
do,
imagine that?
So they were
Yeah.
saying a lot of things that got to her, and even the family got to see this video online. They didn't really know the depth of what she went
Went
through
through, yes.
until they saw it on that social media. And then she had to reach out
That you should
that
take
we
the
should
video
please
down.
take it down. That was how we took that video down. So these are some of the challenges that survivors have, and it limits them from sharing their story. But of course, trust me, there are still a lot of them out there that share their stories to both educate and enlighten young people not to fall victims. So yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I know there is a movie. I think Oloture.
Oloturi, yeah.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
that shows not
Exactly.
as in depth, but it shows
It
to
still
a
does.
large extent
It still does.
how trafficking can be and all of
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
so the next question I'm going to ask is because now another thing people hear is, when you said that a person shared a story, and what people could actually get from that story is, shebi na your eye, now wasting your eye won't see, now
Do you
money you dey
get?
find. And a lot of people even consciously go into trafficking because they feel like at the end of the day they can survive it. They don't know the depth.
They think they are smart.
Yes,
Or they can be smarter.
they can be
You know,
smarter.
sharp.
Exactly, no sharp. So like, what exactly, like, because what are the things that these victims, what are they exposed to? Victims who are trafficked, what are they exposed to, like, so that people can see how dangerous it is to.
Okay, so the thing is that for depends on for each gen for male and female, they are actually kind of different in
Different,
what
okay.
they are exposed to most times, right? For the female, but at the end of the day, generally, they are exposed to things very terrible.
Yes.
That's the reality. And the fact that they didn't even know about those things before they embarked on such journey. Because trust me, if you tell someone that I'm taking you to XYZ for this particular thing and you're
Yeah.
very honest, nobody would go, like they won't. So they always paint it, to something very nice, something very attractive, more like a bait to get them into the act. But when they eventually get to where or to the destination of the trafficker, right? Like I said earlier, they are sold.
Yes, you're
Do you
sold.
understand? They are sold. And then whatever, just like you go to the market and then you use your money to buy what you want to buy.
Yes.
And you are using whatever you bought to for your own benefit, for whatever thing you want to use it for. Do you understand? So now when these victims are bought or are sold, whatever word, they are used for any purpose which the trafficker wants them to be used
Which can be
for,
anything.
which can be anything.
Yeah.
Now, for the female, like I say, they can be used as prostitutes, so against their wish. And the crazy part is that they are not the ones being paid directly for their services or whatever it is. It is their buyer. It's more like a transaction. You buy items, you want to resell these items to make your money, right? And you're expected to also make profits.
Yes.
That is what plays out here. So when they buy this human, for those that are used or are exposed to prostitution, they make them sleep with a lot of men in a day. In fact, one of the survivors says she sleeps with, or rather, 15 men.
Wow.
20 men
A day.
Yeah, sleep with her a day, and they pay to her
Employer.
supposedly
A trafficker.
trafficker. Do you get? So she does not even know how much they bargain. So she's just like a commodity. She's just like a product.
Yes.
Like an item. The product may not, just like you buy this television or something. The television does not know how much you bought it.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So that is how this thing works.
Terrible.
So, and then at the end of the day, they tell this victim that, okay, I spent XYZ amount of money in bringing you here to this country, and you are expected to work that money until you're able to pay me back that money. You will be under my custody. And most times they triple. Not what is triple. They make this money so much that it will be very difficult for such a victim to pay up. When they promise them, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of your visa, I'll take care of your feeding, I'll take care of your transport and all of that. They are not for free. It's when you eventually get there, you pay for them. And one of the ways is through what I just mentioned, prostitution. And then for some of the women or for some of the girls, they make them, serve maybe their bosses, their nannies. They do some kind of hard labors and all of that. I had one say, thank God I was not exposed to trafficking, but in a day I have to clean a building of, I think she said 4-story building, all the toilets, or mop the floor, do this, do that, do, a lot of work to be done. So those are some of the things the girls are exposed to. And then for the male, sometimes they can be used to traffic drugs. They can make them use them to transport drugs from one location
So
to
another.
another. Other times they can also expose them to a lot of hard labor, right? And a lot of issues that we put them at risk even the more. They'll
Even
make them to be at the war front. They turn them to robbery or to armed robbers.
armies.
Make them go handle guns and do a lot of silly things that can land them in jail. Because even the traffickers, they may not be able to track them, like the victims themselves may not know their actual address or home or contact or anything they can use to track them. So they are just at the mercy of their traffickers, and they must comply, otherwise they are killed. That is just the thing. And then for some that may be trying to prove stubborn, so to say, sometimes they land them in jail.
In jail.
Yeah, and they stay there. That's why you hear some parents say, since my pikin travel, I never hear from mamo. You never. Some of these people are serving some jail sentence, with strict condition and labor. So these are some of the things that
They are exposed
they
to.
are exposed to. There are a lot of them, but these are just, of course, the common
The common ones.
ones. Yeah.
Yes, like to add to that, because I don't like sugarcoat things. Sometimes the women they are taking just for childbearing alone.
Exactly.
They're shopping for childbearing.
Exactly.
Some of them are made to sleep with animals.
Yeah.
They're made to do ridiculous things. Like
Exactly.
there's an extent to it. So if you think that, oh, maybe just prostitution, just to sleep with a couple of men,
There are more to that.
there's a lot to it though, and
There's more to
I
that.
pray that God will help us and God gives us to not be deceived, because most of these traffickers they pry on what you need the most, right? So yes,
Of course, definitely.
so basically we've now established that yes, there's a stereotype, right? And we've tried to educate us on the fact that there is a limit. There is no limit to the extent at which human trafficking can go. So I want you to tell us that, now there are some preventive method efforts. We have NGOs, because a lot of traffickers will tell you this NGO brought me back, this organization brought me back, they wanted me to return back to the country and all of that. But then how does this stereotype affect these preventive efforts? Like if people think that, oh, it's just girls that can be trafficked, and then they are focusing on like just bringing girls back. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. Like the thinking we have to human trafficking, how does it limit our preventive efforts, right? And are we focusing our awareness campaigns on the wrong set of people?
Okay.
Yes, like we already have a picture in our mind that these are the certain people that can be stereotyped. So or that can be trafficked. Sorry. So do you think that this thinking is limiting us from actually addressing the issue? Or like are we just addressing some parts and then we're not focused on some other parts? Or you think at large the effort has been to just tackle human trafficking and it has been going on smoothly?
Okay, so thank you for that question. For me, the effort is just equal. We are not particular about maybe any gender, so to say. And like you mentioned, a lot of returnees, so to say, they get help from. We have what we call voluntary return, right, and involuntary return. So for the voluntary return, they are victims that eventually find their way to maybe the embassy in the country where they are trafficked to, or to organizations like, of course, we know the general IOM, International Organization for Migration, and they are in various countries. So a lot of returnees find their way to IOM office or center in the country, and then register there or identify with them. Oh, please, I want to go back home. Or they find their way to the embassy. Please, I noticed I've been trafficked. I want to go back home. They welcome them, they accept them, and they find a way to, put them or send them back home. These are voluntary returnees, right? And then for the involuntary ones are the ones that they feel like coming back home may be worst to them, or maybe because of what is waiting for them back home. Some of them are in debt, like I said already, so they don't want to come back, but then they are constituting nuisance here, and maybe they have been exposed to a lot of dangers, or they have been identified by the legal authorities there to see that these persons are irregular in this country, right? And then they can be deported. Those ones are involuntary returns. But whichever way, so even a trafficker can come back voluntarily or involuntarily. You understand? Though you were trafficked, or the person was trafficked, so they can come back either ways. But then the message has just been general, right? To stop human trafficking. So it's not about stop human trafficking
For
for
girls.
girls, or
Yeah.
stop human trafficking
For
for
boys,
boys. No,
yeah.
that's just been general. Even on the 30th of July, where we had awareness with various CSOs, with various organizations led by NAPTIP here in Lagos State, which I also know happen in other states in Nigeria, the awareness was just about stop human trafficking, and then focusing on the theme of this year. So there is really no anything about having preferential treatment for this. Even when they come back in Nigeria, depending on the organization that brought them back, if it is IOM, they still make them go through some reintegration process, and the support is equal for both based on their need. For those that need medical attention, they ensure they provide that. For those that need whatever basic need, at least to welcome them back home. But then on the part of the returnee, they also have a lot of role to play here, because I've seen a returnee say she wants to go back. Someone that has been helped to come back to Nigeria, right, has been sponsored. In fact, she was the one that voluntarily went to
bring them.
IOM, that they want to return. And then now that they're back in Nigeria, I had her, she told me she really preferred to stay there because I don't just know.
I don't know, there's a phobia
It's
for
crazy.
Nigeria.
It's
Everybody's
crazy.
scared of Nigeria. I
yeah.
am scared of I'm scared of Nigeria. I mean,
So is that deep? You understand? So when someone is helping you, you should also help yourself.
yeah.
Because why do you want to go there? And then for some, they want to really run back because, like I said, some took a lot of loan back home, and because their parents are not, or their expectations from their families, they could not meet up. So they just really want to go back because my family is not really seeing me as their child now. They were expecting me to come back with some luxury, with some things, with a lot of money. Now I am back with nothing. Please, it's better I just go there and die than to stay here. Someone say that practically. So it's just the challenges we face here, and some came back actually, but they have not gotten back to their family. Some their family are not even aware that they are back because of what they're expecting. They already know would happen when they get back home. Some are just stuck in different cities, and maybe their parents are in another city or in another community or rural area, but they're just stuck in the city. So there are a lot of dynamics around this. But at the end of the day, the message is clear. Do not be either perpetrator, do not even support anything that has to do with trafficking,
Yeah.
because it is against the law, right? It is against the law. So stop human trafficking.
I wouldn't say that Jesus has already paid the price of your soul, for your soul and for your life. There's absolutely no reason somebody else should still sell you again after somebody has died for your sins.
You're even making it religious now.
It's not able to know. I'm just giving okay, like irrespective of your religion.
Yeah,
right?
I get.
Somebody has literally died. Somebody has paid the price for your life.
So even your parents paid the price, giving you birth and bringing you to life.
So why do you want to be so? That's the most dehumanizing thing. Yeah, and I'm really glad we've had this session, because a lot of people are not educated as we think that they are. So I'm hoping that when you start watching this, you watch it till the end so that you can learn a lot of things regarding human trafficking, and you can go through her previous episodes
Okay.
Yes, talking about, or when we've spoken about human trafficking. And I'm hoping that this one day would get to the right channel so that more and more efforts is,
Mm.
because when we have a better system,
Yeah.
there really isn't. It's, I find it so ridiculous that when people go, I want to go abroad, I want to travel abroad, like people in these particular places we want to travel to don't see here as they want to travel here. Is that is how bad
It
it
is
is,
right.
right? So
Yeah.
the all I want to travel abroad, I want to travel abroad, I want
It's
to travel
always
abroad.
coming from here to
It's not
there
even
most
stemming. It's
times
not even stemming from the fact that, oh, I just want to travel to explore other countries
and
and see
come
what
back.
they want. It's stemming from I want to escape. I want to
Japa.
escape. I want to japa, and that's a whole lot. And I'm praying that one day, at the end of the day, this gets to the right channel, or more and more efforts are being made to stop human
Yes.
trafficking.
Yes.
And we've come to the end of this session, and I really hope you enjoyed it. And one thing I always say is that Nigerians were like the enemies of ourselves, because why are you trafficking a fellow human being? Like, why are
Mm.
you trafficking? Why are you making much money off another person? But at the end of the day, we stand as a team in iSafe to say no
No
to
to human
human
trafficking.
trafficking.
If you see something, you say
You
something
say
too.
something. Thank you very much, and see you next episode. Bye bye.